Hello, my name is Nicole and I'm a co-founder at FinWise. We haven't made a video in a really long time, but we're super keen to start making more content to speak through the changes that are being made to the web and mobile apps, as well as just generally speaking about our progress and what we envision for FinWise in the future. So today I'm going to show you what we've worked on as a team over the last month, and maybe give you a bit of a glimpse into what's coming in the next few weeks. Cool, so first thing I will show you is that we've introduced a fixed duplicates tool. We have checks that prevent duplicates being synced into the system, but occasionally there will be errors with our data providers and duplicates will come into the system. So we've introduced this tool that does a search and identifies any duplicates. We've had one or two issues where duplicates were synced across different accounts. So we've added some various functionality here that lets you basically configure how you want to search for duplicates. And once identified, you have the option to archive them and get rid of them from the system. So that's one thing. And then kind of related is that now you can view archived transactions. So any transactions that get deleted in FinWise will be available in this list. So if you accidentally delete your data or a transaction accidentally gets removed and marked as a duplicate, you can always come here, search, filter, and restore transactions. So that's two things. The other thing that we've added, which has been a feature request for a long time, is when you select multiple transactions, at the top of the screen you will now see a running total of those transactions. So that is slightly different from when you add a filter. So sorry, if I go here and maybe I select all clothes and coffee categories, you'll see here we do see the filtered amount, but I can then also select and just look at the running total in comparison if I'm curious of how much a subset of transactions add up to. Cool. I've got a list here, so I'm just going to double check it. So I've gone run balance, and yeah, so the next thing I'd like to show you is we have added the ability to customize account groups. What this means is this is an account group here, this is another account group here, but now you can update the names, edit them. I just said that. You can add new ones and edit the account groups. So for instance, Plaid here is an American bank. So let's pretend I want to rename this account group to US accounts. So I can do that. I can also then drag different accounts into different groups. I can delete groups. Maybe I want my investments at the top of the page. I can do that. And what we've also done here is you can add a whole new group if you want to, but you can also choose how your account groups are sorted. So because I've been dragging around, there is a manual order that has been defined. But if I want to sort all my account groups by name, I can choose ascending, descending, and I can also sort the accounts within each group. So that's something that's new and has been on our roadmap for quite a long time. Let me check my list. Okay, so then the next thing is we've made some changes to our import transactions tool. So here I'm going to select some transactions that I want to import via CSV. I'll say single account here. And then let's pretend we are putting those transactions into my Discovery bank account. So there's a few things, but the main thing is you always have to select which match columns up. So here I selected date, description, and amount, which are the compulsory columns. Previously, there was no error detection. So what we've added is the ability to detect errors in the CSV and edit it inline. So here you can see the date is funny, so I can modify it inline without having to open another tool and figure out what's going wrong. Here's another date malfunction, and you'll see that this row has got a missing description. So I'm going to do that. And then the other thing that's new here is that, say I don't want to import these two transactions, then I can unselect them from this list. And something that probably won't be used too much, but if you wanted to set which currency you were importing, you could select that here. Cool, so I'm going to go here and click import. Something else that we've added, but that was really quick, is when your transactions are importing, there will be a little notice at the bottom here, and it'll show you your progress as it's progressing, so you don't have to keep that modal open or worry about what's going on. Cool. So then, yes, the next thing I'll show you from settings is you've always been able to define what start day your budget begins on. So I can change that here to the 25th. And previously, this wasn't super clear, but we've now added the budget period very clearly at the top here based on whatever start date you select. So we've added that across all the pages. So the budget page, recurring, calendar, and it's always been in analyze, but it's a little clearer now. So now when you look across the app, you will see all the pages matching to your budget period, which is a little bit more accurate, I think. Okay. Yes, so we had a few bugs, and actually there is one or two more issues that I'm going to be fixing straight after this video. But we noticed that occasionally these circles here define or display how much percentage of your entire assets or liability portfolio the specific accounts makes up. And previously we noticed occasionally that we would see minus 0% on these circles, or the circles would be adding up to a really weird number. So we fixed that now, and we still have an issue across multi-currency, which we will be fixing soon. The other thing that's been in the system for about a month now is our updated split functionality. So we modified this modal here so that you can split equally. Also, if you change an amount like this, sorry, let me do this. It will autofill the second amount. So just to demonstrate that again, for instance, if I know this is 40 or 50, it autofills the second box. You can also split equally, and you can change between your currency and percentage. So we're trying to make that a lot cleaner. The other thing you can now also do is directly add tags and notes to the split inline. So that's been around for a while, but I thought I would show you that anyway. And then the other thing that we've done is that when you sync your accounts, we've now added so that whatever accounts you have that are synced accounts, they will be listed in rows on this sync account modal. And once they have updated, you will see it per line. This is just so that we're adding better visibility into the progress of synced accounts. You can also see a status bar down here. And to kind of follow onto that, from that, is that previously it wasn't clear when data was properly syncing. So there's a difference here. One is that obviously we use external data providers who connect to your bank account. So what we have done now is we're surfacing the difference between when I sync my account. So I connect to the data provider, and we are also surfacing the date last when the data provider pulled information from the bank. So here you can see I synced at 5:16, but my data provider fetched data from my bank last at 4:24. And this is just better visibility so that when you don't have to keep syncing if you aren't seeing new transactions, and it's a bit clearer that the data provider needs to pull more data. And this will also help us try and debug any issues and potentially reach out to our data provider for more accurate data syncing in the future. And then the last thing to show you on the desktop app is something we have been focusing on internally is making sure that we are building a really good support system, as well as communicating as well with our users as we can. So one thing that we have done is added this tool called FeatureBase, which allows us to, allows our users to send us feedback and feature requests and log bugs. And then our users are able to vote on tickets. And based on this, we look at these lists daily to try and determine what we should be working on next. So that's new, and we're trying to encourage our users to use that. The other thing we have now is an active changelog. So as we build new features, we post them to our changelog on a weekly basis. And this third thing to show you is that we now have an open roadmap, which is mostly up to date, of showing you the progress of FinWise and what we're thinking in terms of building next. But basically the feedback that we get from our customers are driving all our decisions. So this is becoming a very integral part of how we make decisions in the team. And then I guess the last thing to show you here is that what has been updated now is this share feedback button at the bottom of the page allows you to create a feature request or a bug, or request a specific integration, or note a data issue, and that then will get posted to that board I just showed you automatically and allow other FinWise users to vote so that we then can prioritize what's most important. And the other thing is when we post new features on our changelog, they will appear here in a little list on everyone's app, so that you can actually see the new features on a weekly basis and get a little bit more information about how the app is progressing. Cool, so that's all to show you from the last month on web. The next thing I will do is show you some of the changes on mobile, because we've been doing a lot of work on mobile too. Some main things on mobile include that we did a big, cleanup of consistency. And that's like consistent UI in terms of navigation and buttons and colors. So I think it needed a little bit of love. It still needs a lot of love, but we're making strides towards making FinWise mobile app as good as possible. So one of the things we did change was the graphs on our homepage. We are still working on the graphs, so you can see this is not super great. And can do a little bit of cleanup, but we've added a little bit more visibility into how much budget people have available, what these graphs actually mean. So this overview page has changed quite a bit in the last month. The next thing I'll show you is that on our budget screen, we've now added summaries of how much the balance is for the income section, as well as what's available for expenses, and then a little summary at the top. This already existed on web, but we've now added it to mobile. And you can also filter if you just want to look at expenses or income. This was a request from a few users over time. The next thing is, like on the desktop app, we've also added the ability to customize account groups. So you can now reorder your accounts within a group. Sorry, oopsie. Like that. You can add a new account group. You can also update the sorting in the same way that I showed you on desktop. And you can do renaming and deleting, etc. So that's that. Something that really should have been in FinWise from the beginning, which we have just added in the last month, is the ability to filter transactions. So there's a bit here to show you. We have now the ability to filter transactions exactly like you can do on the web app. You can also review, toggle to view unreviewed versus all transactions. We've added the ability to multi-select transactions for bulk edits. So I can, for instance, select these and mark them as reviewed. I can also select transactions and delete them. Cool. The other thing on mobile, you can also now view archive transactions like you can do on web and restore any that are incorrect. And yeah, I think that's most of the things worth showing you on transaction screen. Oh yes, the other thing I guess is when you are selecting transactions, there is also a running total on the top of the screen. So that is the same as on the web app now. Cool. Then we've made a lot of changes to the Analyze page. Previously, you only saw this one pie chart, and we've now broken it down a bit further. So there's better filtering in terms of timing. There's this breakdown. You can now view your trends, so your total spending or your income or the net view of both. That definitely needs a lot of work. And then it explains like a breakdown of your net spending over time. And we've also added then a table view, which shows you the total money in, total money out, and total net, top income sources, top expenses, just to show you a little bit more insight. And I think this part of the app is going to evolve quite a lot over time as we learn more about what insights into spending and income is most useful for our users. Yeah, so that is that. The last thing I can show you here is just like on the desktop app, we've added the ability to view the changelog in app, as well as now speak to us using Intercom in the app, and viewing the roadmap, joining our Discord channel, and sending feedback. So we've added all that just to make sure that even our users on mobile can engage with support, our team, and our community from the app, which was previously lacking. So yeah, that is all I have to show today. It's quite a lot of changes that have happened over the last month, I realize. And possibly maybe the last thing I'll show you is looking at this roadmap of ours. We have had issues with duplicate accounts and transactions, specifically with Discovery Bank. And it's been an issue for a few months now, and I think we have a lot of frustrated users, but we are doing our best to stay on top of it with our data provider and prioritizing trying to get this fixed as a long-term solution. So that's top of priority, but it does mean from our side we are waiting for our data provider to fix the issues. So while we've been waiting, we're trying to make the app better. So on top of that, I think syncing data and making our data syncing connections as reliable as possible is our number one priority always. But other things that we're working on at the moment is making our charts and our overview page a little bit more useful and sensible. I think there's a few things that sometimes just don't make too much sense, or I think the styling can be improved. So we're working on that. We are about to launch the ability to log in to FinWise with Google and Apple. So hopefully that will be live optimistically by this weekend. And yeah, I think the big exciting changes coming up in the next few weeks, I'll optimistically say, is that we're going to start really pushing to get out our couples and household budgeting, as well as alerts on budget overspending, a rules engine for better categorization, and optimistically envelope budgeting in the next few weeks. So those are all things that are on our short-term roadmap. I also know that we need to do some work on making the bugs on the plans page and the recurring pages on the web app much better. But yeah, I will update more, I think, once we have better thinking in a future video. So that's all from me now. Thank you for listening to me babble for the last 20 minutes. And yeah, we are really excited to build a community around helping people with their money and making FinWise as useful as possible. So if you're keen, join us on Discord. The link is in the app. Send us your feedback, chat to us on Intercom. We really value input more than anything. And we'll be back in the next video. Have a great day. Bye.